Welcome to issue number 8 of the Infinite Backlog, a chronological tour of the best and most noteworthy Marvel comics. I'm Unbelievable Andy, and with me are my co-hosts, the unbeatable Shane.
Hello.
And the unstoppable Rory.
Hey there.
Today's comics are going to follow Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, just like last week, and they're going to take us from November 1965 through March 1966. Hey, a new year. And as always, got some historical context. During this time, Lyndon B. Johnson ratchets up our involvement in Vietnam. John Lennon says the Beatles are more popular than Jesus. And Charlie Brown Christmas first airs on TV.
Also, here's one for you that you missed.
Yeah, hit me.
Well, Ben Grimm calls somebody a deadhead, and the Grateful Dead have now become a band as of 1965. I'm not sure if they were like established deadheads that early, but you never know, because they would have been.
You never know.
They came out of the gate swinging with deadheads. They're like, everyone has to call yourself a deadhead. At their very first concert in that weird coffee shop that their friend owned, they're like, all right, from this point on, we're all deadheads, right? Everybody on board?
Oh, God.
It's a term I've only heard to use to describe deadheads, but I could extrapolate what it would mean if you were just, calling somebody a deadhead.
Yeah, it's true.
So it was a little hard to tell. Also, we called somebody a boner this week. That's always fun.
Oh God, I love boner. Boner is just the best old slang that is not okay anymore. Committing a boner. Oh, I've done such a boner on myself. Shit. Yeah. So we had a big week. We actually shortened our reading list by one issue because we didn't want too much to chew on this week, because we kind of knew the Inhumans were going to show up, and that's a big new chunk of cast that we get to meet in the Fantastic Four.
Though we wound up kind of leaving Fantastic Four on a cliffhanger, which was slightly annoying. But it means there'll be, more Inhuman stuff next week, since I'm sure they're gonna fade out of the Fantastic Four, book.
Right. Well, my understanding is that everything of the 4 issues of Fantastic Four that we read were all sort of one continuous thing. Yeah. And next week, that continuous thing melds into a Galactus thing, is my understanding. Okay. We get that beginning like a new thing that is also a continuation of this thing. So there wasn't quite a neat stopping place. But since we're there, let's start with Fantastic Four. What do we got? We start with Gorgon, right? That's our first view into what's going on. We get the return of Madame Medusa, and Gorgon is a new guy.
Yes.
It's kind of a fun little intro, because we sort of come in as if it's a pretty prototypical start for a Fantastic Four comic, where they're kind of hanging out in the Fantastic Four headquarters, kind of just goofing, just having lighthearted fun.
Sue's being very domestic and wearing an apron over her blue Fantastic Four outfit.
But it turns out, after the sort of that early little action, and Johnny Storm leaves because he's bored to death with how domestic they're acting. Yeah. We're kind of thrown into a lot of action that has already started and that we're not really privy to a lot of the details on, which is fun.
Yeah, because Madame Medusa is on the run from someone we don't even know, who we just sort of see in the edges of panels doing the sort of Arthur fist off screen, like, damn it. And she's broken into Johnny Storm's Stingray and is waiting for him and is like, cool, I'm kidnapping you now. Also, we gotta go. We're running. Bye.
Even though she's got, what does she have? She has a vacuum gun.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She's like, you can't do fire in vacuums.
I believe she says you can't flame on in a vacuum. Because flame on as a verb is still very good. And yeah, this spooky guy named Gorgon, we're sort of I think it's interesting. We kind of go back and forth on how we're supposed to feel about him, because it seems like he's just this boilerplate villain that is after another villain. And then we learn more things about why, and it is actually kind of interesting in a way. Yeah.
Well, and it's also, we have this added context because we know Medusa primarily as not a villain. This is kind of... Yeah. And I'm curious how I would feel reading it, because it back in the day,
Yeah.
Where she's just kind of also a bit of a throwaway villain, as far as I would know.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly seemed like... I mean, if you're part of the Frightful Four, you're kind of throwaway. Though, I mean, Sandman's a pretty big deal, and he was one of those. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but they do a 1-page cutaway of the Sandman and the Trapster in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Just sort of like grumbling about being there and how Medusa's not. And fucking Trapster's sitting there going like, oh, if I just had my traps, I could get us out of here. But if I fucking had my traps, you don't even know. They'd be so mad if I had my traps. Oh, shit.
Hey, so wait, since we're talking about that moment, like the Sandman like punches the window. He's like, you guys are dumb. You put a window. I can punch it. And so like he punches it. And he gets electrocuted.
Yes, you don't know about electric windows?
Like, so he punches and gets electrocuted. But how come he doesn't turn to glass? How come Sandman doesn't turn to glass?
I don't know. It's a good question. There's a lot of questions because we've seen in earlier issues that Sandman can just get through the tiniest cracks in a building to infiltrate the Baxter building. How does he not get out of this jail cell? It's very strange. And the glass he breaks shatters, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, we could just get out through that if another pane of electric glass didn't just slide in just to replace it.
Yeah, there's like a conveyor belt of
fucking
of
Rube Goldberg
glass
machine they built to keep Sandman inside.
Well, it is one of those silly things, and that's why for the most part we almost never see villains in jail because the contraptions needed to sort of neutralize them are usually more like just kind of too silly and obtuse. A drain on the taxpayer money, I imagine.
I mean, who's paying for all of these Rube Goldberg machines?
Especially if we're in Vietnam.
Yes, we're in Vietnam right now. How are we affording this? We got to talk about Gorgon's very strong feet. He has such good feet.
Gorgon is a gay icon. I'm just going to lead with that. He is like ultra hairy and has a strong jawline, and his whole thing is feet. He is a gay icon. I'm sorry.
You heard it here first.
Oh, fuck. Well, as we learn over the course of this first like 2 issues, Medusa and Gorgon are a member of a secret race of divergent evolved humans known as the Inhumans, who have lived in secret in a place called the Great Refuge ever since like prehistory, I guess.
Yeah.
It's Wakanda.
So we have, it is definitely like second Wakanda. We have met the Inhumans, I mean, before. I don't know about all of them. And there's even been mention of Black Bolt. So I was surprised. I looked it up, and this is their kind of first true like appearance. Like, not obviously they've shown up and stuff, but you know, kind of given the backstory, given reasonable pages and stuff like that.
I do like it in a way. I mean, you call it a second Wakanda, but of course we have yet to introduce Black Panther.
That's true.
So it's a first Wakanda. Wakanda's the second one,
and they're very like Arthurian fairies. They're a lot of fun. Their powers are strange and kind of, they at least try to usually give lip service to the science behind how the superheroes and supervillains' powers interact. You know, like they try to give it like a dollop of logic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the Inhumans are not like locked into that. It's kind of the same as Thor. It's their powers can be weird and kind of unexplained, and they don't always follow through to a logical conclusion. So Gorgon only has super kicks. He's not, it's
well, but they're bred that way, right? Like they use science to breed themselves to have a specific superpower.
They do say they do use the word science. I'll give you that.
It's like a Xanthian like nightmare kind of.
But of course,
it's also
not
a little bit like eugenics.
Yeah,
on themselves.
But like, while we can call it science, and they can call it science, but they behave like magic.
Yeah.
Science doesn't care about your magic.
Facts don't care about your magic.
Yeah.
The one exception that I want to point out it's really funny to me is Reed Richards is always trying to science on top of everything. And when later in the fourth issue we read, they actually show up at the Great Refuge and they fly in on their jet and they see a flying Inhuman. Reed is like, how does he fly? He must have hollow bones like a bird. And I love just like speculating that a man they haven't met has hollow bones.
Also, not even the first flying person they've ever seen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Johnny flies. Does Johnny have hollow bones? Does Thor have hollow bones? I guess he flies by chucking his hammer.
Thor doesn't fly.
Right.
He goes along for the ride.
He hangs on.
Ooh, can we talk about, I know we're sort of out of order. It doesn't really matter. Let's talk about my favorite Inhuman of all of them, which
Lockjaw?
is Karnak.
Oh, Karnak, the man who knows where the weak spot is.
Karnak's fucking judo
The man who
chop.
can just wreck you in one hit.
Yes. Karnak is fucking incredible because he just stands there with his, doing the look.
Shane said something interesting, and I don't know that I think that's true.
What? Oh, sorry, I missed what Shane said.
No. Hang on. His power is he can find anyone's weakness.
Yeah.
It does not say he can find your clitoris.
The dopest spot.
And even if he did, he'd just judo chop it. So like
he would just kind of tap it.
And then you'd explode, I guess, because that's what everything he judo chops does. They fucking explode. So Karnak's definitely the best. But yeah, there is an Inhuman like giant dog named Lockjaw who is there to be cute,
Lockjaw's cool as shit.
Lockjaw is cool.
He's a beam shooting dog with antenna. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he does.
Oh, and portals and his
portal
name
dog.
and he can hold on to things real tight.
Yeah, he's got those good lockjaws.
Yes, he does have a very good case of lockjaw.
Now, their whole vibe is super weird, and it is. I know this is sort of the elephant in the room. It is unsurprising that when they tried to put Inhumans into live action without an incredibly good idea or concept or visual design, it failed utterly. That Inhumans show that they made is so awful.
Yeah, because you have to embrace the silly. Like I said, it's a little bit Arthurian. There's kind of like, little green men vibes from them.
Mm-hmm.
And also you have to fight the urge to just do X-Men with the serial numbers filed off.
Yes. Yeah,
because
they're not.
They're not the X-Men.
It's they're a very odd thing. Like everything about them is like strangely royal family-esque. Like they've got this, like you said, kind of Arthurian vibe.
It's kind of Arthurian. There's kind of, exactly.
And, they're not this like young, scrappy whatever. They're kind of like gods. They're a lot more akin to the god side of Marvel than they are to any of the sort of terrestrial stuff.
There's a funny moment when Black Bolt reclaims the crown.
Which sounds way more exciting than it is because all he does is just take the crown.
He just puts the crown on.
And the guy's like, fuck no.
They've been vamping for like 2 whole issues about how Inhumans are not humans because of those 2 extra letters at the front.
Yep.
They're totally different. And the thing I found so funny is then when Black Bolt claims the crown, they list a bunch of like human laws for his right to the throne.
Yes.
It just felt out of touch. It was like, oh, you're exactly like humans then. You're not different at all.
Well, and Johnny Storm, we should mention, has fallen in love very, very fast with an Inhuman named Crystal. And he keeps saying things like, no one can tell me you're not human. Except like weird. They're all saying that. Like all of them are saying they're not. So I don't know. And like Reed is like his whole deal is like, you shouldn't be hiding. Like your place is with us, with the rest of man. And like, I don't know that it is. Like, who are you to say that it is?
I agree. What's funny though is a lot of times with these sort of character dalliances that happen on the pages, they wind up, and we've talked about this, sort of smoothing over the space between issues. So he goes from meeting Crystal to then kind of having a, somewhat, there's an implication that they're like dating or something, that they know each other and didn't just meet that afternoon.
Even though explicitly they did.
Even though explicitly they just met that afternoon. But then Sue actually calls it out. She's like, you just met this chick, dude. Put it in your pants for 1 second. You're the 4th best superhero in the world.
Yeah. Also, right after that moment is one of my favorite little like couple lines. Reed is like, Sue, when a man thinks he's in love, nobody can tell him he's not. And I expected Johnny's retort to be something about the way he used the word thinks he's in love. Like, I don't just think I'm in love, I am in love. But instead what he says is, that's the first time he ever called me a man.
I am a man. My dick is big.
I am a man. You're right, I'm a man. I'm a big man. And I love a woman, and she's human, I swear to God. No, I'm actually an inhuman. You're human. It's such a messy, like, I loved these issues because they're messy. Like, they didn't follow the formula that we've been sort of set to, like, expect over the last couple weeks with the Fantastic Four. They're just doing weird shit every week, and it's great. I don't know what's going to happen.
They're more unpredictable, and it's the first time we've seen Fantastic Four off the rails in a fun way, I think. We've seen some silly issues, but not like really taking it in a strong new direction.
Fantastic Four, pretty much since they started, like, it might not be the best title they have going. I definitely don't think it is, but they're building the Marvel universe. Like, the Fantastic Four are encountering everybody important that shows up, like, ever. Like, I'm pretty sure Black Panther does show up in a Fantastic Four issue. Galactus is about to show up. The Inhumans are all here. Like, there's so many villains that first fight him. Like, Doctor Doom, of course, becomes very relevant to the whole Marvel universe, not just a Fantastic Four villain. Like, it's interesting the way that they use them as kind of like a well-established testing ground. Like, here's something new. This is very exciting. Let's have Reed Richards examine it, and if it gets popular, maybe we'll spin it out into its own title.
Well, even though Ben Grimm is kind of a wisecracker, they're very much kind of Marvel's straight man. So you can bring in characters and let them be characters, because Reed's just gonna be boring.
Reed's just gonna point a telescope at it.
Sue's gonna be boring, and Torch is gonna be boring, and so it lets the cameo really sparkle.
Yeah, that's super real.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So the dialogue to the part that I'm about to mention is upsettingly sexist. Both Sue and Reed have some real hammy lines.
Is it the hair part?
It's all of it, dude. He's just always calling her woman and
yes,
quiet woman. But
I'll explain later, woman. Just do as I say.
Underneath the awful dialogue is a kernel of drama I found pretty compelling. Was the fact that, like, they seemed to have not thought their marriage would affect their team dynamic.
Yeah.
They thought, and they're not having this, like, newlywed experience they thought they'd be having. I dig what's happening there.
Yeah, because Reed definitely still feels like he needs to be the team leader and, like, have that instant respect, and, like, the follow orders angle. Like, you know, like, people, like, there's real danger. Like, I need to trust that you'll just follow my orders. But then, like, it seems to Sue like he's, like, gone hella cold, like ice cold as soon as they got married. And she's, like, trying to distract him, admittedly, this is ridiculous, but in the middle of a very
she gives herself a haircut on a mission.
Yes, she gives herself a fucking haircut on a mission.
And then pretends to be kidnapped to get their attention.
Yeah. And she's like, no one's noticed my hair.
You're invisible, bitch.
And then Reed says, we'll talk about this later, young lady. Like, he's her dad.
Yeah, that part is just so cringy.
But you're right. The structure of it does have a really interesting piece to it. Like, there's something cool going on there that's a fun exploration.
It's believable. It feels like this would happen to people if they're on a super team and they get married.
Yeah. I guess the things that we haven't mentioned yet about Fantastic Four that are at least slightly relevant. We had the return of Dragon Man, that reanimated stone dragon. Who's just in love with every girl and tries to protect them. I thought a
scientist, like, poured, like, or am I crazy? Has there been multiple dragons? Yeah, they put a potion on. Yeah, they put a potion on Space Rock, right?
Yes, this is Diablo's potion that ended up on a scientist Space Rock and turned into a dragon that loves women. And
yeah, this horny dragon who is a delight. All he wants to do is scoop up a hottie and go full King Kong, and everybody keeps, and the Marvel universe won't let him. Like in King Kong, there's not other King Kongs who like won't let him have the hottie. And this poor Dragon Man is constantly thwarted.
Yeah, come on, man. So we have that situation going on. He fights Gorgon a little bit. There's actually a really cool, as much as I kind of despise the ever shifting power creep and power dynamics and who's stronger than who angle of comic books, it is kind of neat to see the Thing go mano a mano with Black Bolt and have Black Bolt be the one to retreat.
Yeah,
because we know he's powerful. Like this is obviously reader knowledge that we have from just general context. But Black Bolt, when he opens his mouth to finally speak because he can't talk, like that, like destroys mountains. So like he's got kind of that Spider-Man situation of like, I'm always holding back because I worry that I'm gonna just like murder someone if I punch them. Mm-hmm. So he's constantly doing that. But the Thing overpowers him, and he's definitely very strong already. And it was a kind of a cool like thing to see because we kind of forget how dope Thing is when he's just running around doing wisecracks, but he's like really, really intensely dope.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I'm with you that like the constant quibbling over who is more powerful than who is humdrum. It's worthless. It's pitter patter, but it's nice to have benchmarks, and it's nice to know because you need to know the stakes for your character. Is it Superman or is it Jessica Jones? You know?
Yeah. And when Black Bolt shows up, his design is very cool. I love his colors. The blues on Black Bolt's outfit, I love it. But he shows up just kind of flying in, not talking, T-posing dramatically, and like just looks terrifying.
He comes in hot. He comes in cool.
Yeah, and he's apparently the rightful king of the Inhumans. His brother Maximus somehow usurped the throne and banished Black Bolt, but we just sort of resolved that, like we said earlier. Black Bolt just comes home and takes the hat off his head and says no.
Yoink.
I was a little surprised again. Like I said, that's when I went to the wiki to look up where the Inhumans first showed up as like, you know, the Inhumans, as the quote-unquote Inhumans. And it's here. So like there is no issue where we saw what happened to Black Bolt. I'm sure they'll retcon it in later, but presently it hasn't happened on the pages of any comic book.
No,
but Maximus jacked up his voice box and stole the crown.
Yeah.
Well, once again, we put Jonathan Stormclouds or whatever we call him.
Jonathan Badweather?
Jonathan Badweather. Like, once again, we put him in like a cage with like a water faucet, and he's like, drippy faucet, my one weakness. I'm gonna be wet. I'm gonna be too wet for action. And,
too wet for action.
That is a quote. That is a direct quote from the comic book. I'm gonna be too wet for action. And I just have to say, like, if they had one of those in every comic, like, I wouldn't be mad about it.
I think that's got to be the title for this week. Is gonna have to be too wet for action.
So
Fuck
good.
Me.
He's always in a cage, and he's always got a drippy faucet.
Yeah. The cliffhanger that we end on that we mentioned is kind of a weird one. We are, like we said, Maximus gets his crown taken away and immediately goes toady, like, oh yeah, totally have it back. You're totally right. You should definitely have this. But he apparently has this horrifying death ray that only affects humans, and it's going to do it worldwide, and he's going to hit the button. And that's sort of
it's called the Atmo Gun, and I was interested with future knowledge, because I have no idea if this is going to have anything to do with the Terrigen Mist.
Right.
Because it could. Right. Or it could just be a silly 60s mega weapon. It's just kind of hard to tell.
There's no shortage of them. So it's hard to say. But yeah, I think that where we're posed for next week when we go into the Fantastic Four again is that Maximus, unbeknownst to pretty much any of the heroes, is going to hit a button. So I don't see how he's going to get stopped unless they just walk in on him doing it.
I hope nobody stops me from pressing this button.
I hate it when people walk in when I'm pressing my button.
You got to have Karnak to find it first, though. Karnak, where is it? Show me again. It's there. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Thank you. Oh, no. Hey, Ned proposed to Betty over on that Spider-Man title.
Yeah,
That's
he
a
did.
good segue. Speaking of button pushing.
I bet Ned doesn't need Karnak. Ned can find it just fine. Ned's got that very stable income and the caressed judo chops of a sensitive man.
He's got the free time of a man who 9 to 5s and just wants to plow the rest of the night.
Oh God.
It's so nakedly upsetting where she's like, "Look, you're obviously my number 2."
Yes.
That's
so
not
bad.
That's literally not even what she was going to say. That's not what she was saying.
Well, she's constantly like saying, "No, it's you that I love, Peter. It's you." And then she's telling Ned, like, "I can't give you an answer to your marriage proposal yet because I need to talk to Peter first."
Yeah, because if she was like, "Hey, Peter, I'm in love with you," and he's like, "I'm in love with you too," she'd be like, "Peace out, other guy."
I just like how secure Ned is. He's totally down with the silver medal. He's like, "Yeah, you know what? It's fine. If
It's okay."
Second place is better than nothing, baby. My name still gets in the paper.
He's like, "You want to hug it out, Peter? Should we hug it out?"
He's aggressively nice to Peter, who has done nothing to earn it.
No. God, Peter's so trash.
Although, yeah, but now I'm kind of not even on Betty's side anymore. Now I just want Ned to have some self-care time alone.
I agree.
I just need these two toxic people out of my best friend Ned's life.
God.
Somebody who's looking out for Ned.
Nobody ever looks out for Ned.
God.
Yeah, so that sort of permeates the 5 issues of Spider-Man that we read.
It's in all of them. It's in every single one of them.
Yeah, he is. I mean, what it boils down to is a real problem, which is on the face of it, the way that we're given, not particularly interesting. But if you dive a little bit farther than the writer is willing to, it is actually kind of cool, where someone is in love with someone else and they know that they have a quality that is a deal breaker to them. It's like, you won't like me if you like this. Is something like
he's trying to white fang her.
Yeah. Yes, I am not the guy for you, and I know that. And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "I literally can't tell you. It's my biggest secret." And like that would of course put you in a crazy emotional place. Like, "I love you. I know I love you too." Then nah, because of secrets. That's so fucked. It's so fucked.
Of course. And like you said, because the writers have not quite found that. I mean, somebody knows the heart. The heart is there. So it's you don't want to. I guess the problem is like they've had this dynamic before we really got to this point where the cards are on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, Betty has been kind of hot and cold about the existence of Spider-Man in general.
Yes.
As well as Peter's dark behaviors, as well as his dark passenger, Dexter Parker.
His dark passenger.
Tonight's the night.
Now we are at a place where now it's true. He knows she likes him, despite all of their ups and downs, but they're 19, so whatever.
Right.
Yeah, they don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, exactly. Except that he knows he's Spider-Man, and she doesn't want to bang with a man who's out all night. Getting into trouble.
What does she say? She wants somebody who will come home to his paper and his pipe and be there with her.
Yeah, and he also says, like, because the whole secret identity thing can sometimes feel a little vapid, and he's like, I can't even tell her because then she'll understand why I can't be with her, but then she's still got to carry this secret for the rest of her life, which I found quite believable.
Totally. Hey, we finally get Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy in the same panel today.
Yeah, we do.
I'm pleased as punch. Gwen is admittedly a lot more uncomfortably similar to the women that we've already met in this title than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, her 60s incarnation's nothing to write home about, unfortunately.
No. She has that same energy of like...
She's the exact same as Liz Allen.
Yes, she's just Liz Allen.
It's a carbon copy.
She's Liz Allen, but more blonde. Like, so blonde, her hair's almost white. And she has like they draw her breasts like way more like Madonna pointy.
Yeah.
But she still has that same thing of like the inner monologue. Like she's like, oh, that Peter Parker. And then we cut away and she's like, oh, but I'm so attracted to him.
They've upped the stakes a little bit because Liz Allen's the hottest girl in high school. And Gwen Stacy's the hottest girl in a giant prestigious university. You know, and she's got all of that same energy just dialed up to 11.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun because she's like a lot more confident and secure than Liz was.
Yes.
But it's still not that interesting to be like, oh, I'm unbelievably beautiful, and I've selected from the entire university this one boy because he was, you know, he had his head in the clouds one day.
Because he was withholding of affection towards me. He didn't seem to notice how hot I was, and that made me mad.
Yeah, he didn't drool over me the first time we met, so fuck him. He will be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that she wants to hate fuck Peter Parker is kind of fun.
Yeah. And Harry, I know, becomes a better
Harry's
dude.
a 40-year-old nerd.
Yeah, he looks so old.
He looks so old.
Yeah, Harry and Flash and Gwen become friends, and the crux of why they all hate Peter now is that on the first day of school, when they all have a class together, Peter is worried about, here's some new information, his Aunt May is in the hospital with what seems to be a terminal illness. And he's understandably incredibly distracted and worried by this. And so much so that he's like not even hearing when his friends are like, hey, what's up, Peter? You want to have like a Coke with us? And he's like, he doesn't respond. And they're like, what a fucking dick. I fucking hate this guy.
I found this drama very unbelievable just because, like, how would you not notice that this dude is like anxiously wringing his hands and like scratching and running everywhere and be like, oh, that's normal. I bet he's just mean.
I bet he's just a fucking dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Peter is on the absolute brink of a nervous breakdown at this point.
Oh my God. The entire issue of Spider-Man 32, I think it is. He basically
doesn't talk.
He's on a rampage. Yeah. He breaks everything. He shows up.
Oh, the Rampage one. Yeah. It's really cool.
He's so pissed and freaked out that he can't. They steal the serum that they need to heal Aunt May, and so he's just like running around to all the criminals in town, just being so scary, just like fuck you, tell me where the master planner is, and breaking shit. That like every panel has pieces of wood flying everywhere. Yes, the deal is that Aunt May. She's been faking like she's been okay because she didn't want to worry Peter. And so finally she faints in front of him and he has to take her to the hospital. And she has radioactive blobbity bloops in her blood. And Peter realizes that yeah, the blobbity bloops.
No. I'm laughing because this whole moment where it becomes science-y again. Like not to totally interrupt you and derail you. I'm sorry.
No.
But Spider-Man has this thing where when they do science stuff, it's like a quick montage of Peter pouring something into something and like swishing it around, and then it's science. And so it's like easy bake Bill Nye Science, like. And he's like, "Oh, good, it's no longer radioactive."
Fucking.
But yeah, it's a fun moment because he didn't want to give blood the first time, but he was kind of roped into it.
Well, right, and it's because he gave blood to Aunt May that he's like, oh shit, it must be my radioactive blood that's fucking her up. And
yeah, so he had to give her a blood transfusion, and he did. Yeah, I forget what the circumstances were why he had to do it. Is it
I
just
do
'cause they have
too.
the same
She's
blood
always
type?
in and out of the hospital. I don't remember.
Yeah,
that bitch is always sick.
Yeah, but that at least puts some of they recognized that this drama was not interesting unless there was a personal stake to it. At least they've realized that. So like making Peter feel responsible
guilty,
is a much better way to do it.
If you remember from that issue, his worry was that they'd test the blood and find him out. I don't think he was worried that it would affect Aunt May. Of course, there'd be no reasonable reason to think it would. It made him super strong.
Totally. Yeah.
But still, the fact that the callback is to where he was like kind of selfish about that moment, the same way that's the exact same way that Uncle Ben died in a moment where he in a moment of selfishness. Yeah, it works really well.
It totally does. And I will say that this is the first moment in a precedent that becomes very important in about 30, 40 years later in the comics when, this is a spoiler, I guess, but at a certain point in one of the comics, before I think maybe they reset it, Mary Jane gets cancer because of Peter's, his radioactive splooge.
Is that real?
Yeah, I think that's the implication, or at least just that they swap fluids all the time, or at least just like being around radioactive Peter has given Mary Jane cancer. So this sets up a precedent back in the 60s that that's possible. He almost killed his aunt with his blood.
I think Mary Jane dies in a lot of the continuities, but they probably got rid of that one. I think
they did. Yes, that one didn't stick.
Unlike his radioactive splooge, boom,
boom. Let's see. Yeah, so he gets Doc Connors to help out with the serum bullshit. Doc Ock turns out he was the master planner behind the recent blobbity fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. It's actually incredibly, for once, Spider-Man was incredibly uninteresting in its A-plots.
Yes, although I did like when he was trapped under the debris after his fight with Doc Ock. Well, after his sexual tentacle fight with Doc Ock.
Yes. So that's one of the earliest, most iconic moments in Spider-Man. They recreated this scene for Spider-Man Homecoming. I mean, it's a pretty standard superhero situation. Superhero gets trapped under shit. Superhero finds it within himself to lift shit. But it's drawn very, very well.
It's drawn well, except for the sexual water that's constantly covering him, and just like it's the streams are just meandering through his rippling muscles.
Yes.
And it doesn't help that it's drawn white instead of blue. You had to save a couple cents on that ink, Stanley, didn't you?
But it is a cool moment, I mean, to watch
great.
him.
The whiteness of the liquid notwithstanding, it's really well drawn.
It's so cool, and watching him find seeing somebody with super strength struggle because they're under like the weight of most of a building and they lift it. It's really neat.
Also, especially for Stan Lee and these 60s era comics in general, this moment was probably the highlight. But even the issue where Peter's just storming around, even though we get think bubbles, we're relying a lot less on dialogue and exposition to tell the story than normal.
Yes. Yes. Seeing multiple pages in a row with minimal text boxes was just like, baby.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Oh, it tastes so good. Thank you, God. Though during that sequence where he's lifting all the debris, there is one of those like yellow boxes where the edit, the sort of narration boxes, and in it, he is described as having a superbly muscled body.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they know, they know.
They know. They know what's going on here.
They know. Stepbrother, you're trapped under a mountain of debris.
No.
Oh, let me help you up. What's that? Nothing.
In front of my salad. In front of my spider salad. My potions.
Not my potions. Yeah, so that whole thing sort of resolves where he finally gets the serum. He does some sciencey woo-woo with Doc Connors, the lizard, and shows up at May's hospital room as Spider-Man, which is totally not sus at all. Just a random hero saving a random old woman. No relation.
Kind of a fun moment. Yes, they don't dig in here and hold his feet to the fire about why he's involved in this. But he couldn't show up as Peter Parker with the serum.
No.
He had to go as Spider-Man, and he knew it was kind of sus, which was cool.
Do you guys ever notice? Do you ever notice how sometimes in a lot of these comic books, like the most evil thing some of the villains are doing is just like research. like there's a point where Doc Ock is like, I can steal the serum because I'm doing research.
Yeah, I gotta learn about radioactivity. I'm just trying to learn.
Well, I mean, not to be a downer, but there's a lot of reasons for Jewish writers to not be super down with science in the
Well, you know, the bomb.
In the current climate.
The bomb is also a very atomic shit. This is an age of terror, I think, about the atom and the splitting thereof. So you know, there's a lot there, especially Doc Ock. Doc Ock is explicitly always into radioactivity. Like that's like one of his bags.
That's his thing.
It's his thing. He fucking loves atoms, dude.
Yeah, that's his kink.
Because they fused his box to his chest.
Yeah.
Damn
it. my arm box.
Yeah, I mean, at least it was a fairly useful box.
To cap off the Spider-Man stuff, we had one single issue with a Kraven story, which on the face of it is nothing terribly special, though I always love seeing Kraven again.
He has this such a funny line. So he has been exiled from America. So he sneaks in incognito, as in like not in his lion loincloth.
Yes.
And there's a cut to him. He's in this abandoned warehouse hideout, and he's put on his jungle clothes again, and he's so happy.
Yeah.
To be dressed like a cat.
Oh, finally back in my jungle garb.
Cat jammies.
My favorite thing is not addressed in this issue at all, but like for no real stated reason, part of his ploy is to pose as Spider-Man and like accost J. Jonah Jameson so that people get mad at Spider-Man. I don't really know exactly what that gets him, but I'm just imagining this very large, built, hairy, middle-aged man who is also definitely Russian, wearing a Spider-Man suit and going, "It is me, Spider-Man.
The real Spider-Man.
The real Spider-Man, J. Jonah. I've come to beat you up."
At least like 4 inches taller than Peter too, right? Like at least.
Like just imagining his like fake spider costume just like ripping in places and his chest hair poking out.
His mustache coming out of the bottom of it.
There is no question I am the real spider boy. I am the spider of the man.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. What do we have at the end? I feel like there's something. Oh, Betty quit. Yeah, we find out that Betty quit her job as J. Jonah Jameson's secretary.
Kind of disappeared off the pages of the comic. I mean, I would guess not
to leave room for Gwen.
Maybe, I don't know, but like she disappears off panel. Like we just find out she's gone and
totally
have no indication when she'll be back. You know, in the story, if ever.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the girl who takes her place?
I don't know. We don't know her. We didn't. If we meet her, we haven't had a name yet. She's just a dark-haired girl that we saw coming in who's excited about her job.
Veronica. Betty left, so now we got Veronica.
Oh my god. Too real. It was actually kind of nice though. It's not perfect, but Peter had kind of like a reasonably mature line near the end where he says, like, he's thinking about like, oh, I could bring these photos in and maybe sell them to J. Jonah Jameson, but then I'd have to see Betty, and it's only fair for me to stay away from her. I need to give her a chance to get me out of her system once and for all. That's the least I can do for her. So at least he's finally recognizing that, like, if he can't be with her and he's not going to tell her why, he should at least stay the fuck away.
Well, it's funny because part of the formula is at the end of every issue of Spider-Man, not every, but he tends to have a sort of somber moment of self-reflection / a little brood about just a little cry that then spurs no growth in the next issue. Gwen Stacy has a line about like, it's funny because it's supposed to sound like a dig, but I think it works both ways, I guess, because we also know she's trying to fuck Peter for real. But she's like, look at that Peter Parker all bent over his test tubes like that. It's a fun little throwaway line.
Look at that Peter Parker bent over his test tubes.
Well, I like the way he holds those tubes.
Look at him just bent. Look at him, he's just like showing it to me.
I hate
those
I hate
spider hams poking out of his back pocket.
I quit.
You can't quit. You got to give us a fuck, marry, kill today.
I had to change one of them because of what you just said. So.
Oh no! Oh god.
Okay. All right. So today's Fuck, Marry, Kill, in honor of Andy making us laugh. We have the Atmo Gun, which is the big bad gun from the end of the Fantastic Four. We didn't really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have Gorgon's hairy arms.
Oh, okay. Oh.
His extremities. Let's say it's his
Gorgon's extremities. That includes his very good feet.
His arms and his feet, because he's a gay icon. And then Russian fake Spider-Man. Kraven Spider-Man. Indeed.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, you kill the gun, don't
I think
you?
I think that one's an easy. I think that one's an easy gimme there. I think you do have to kill the gun. You got to kill the Atmo gun.
If it was a sexier gun, maybe I'd go fuck with it. But
now I don't mean to step in. I don't mean to step in where I'm not wanted, Shane. May I make a change to your Fuck, Marry, Kill?
No. It depends on what it is. Hang on, wait. Okay, wait. I will allow it. Give me.
No, let's first do yours. Let's first do yours as stated. We kill the gun. What do we marry? Who do we marry?
I marry Russian Spider-Man. For real.
Yeah, I think so. I think I could fuck the
arms and legs.
The extreme strength of Gorgon. I don't know if I need in my life every day.
The extremities of Gorgon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one time, why not? I tried anything once.
I think we're all in agreement here, and then we have to marry Kraven posing as Spider-Man in an ill-fitting suit. Trying so hard to do the accent.
I like that you're married and he's still not giving up on the act.
Yeah,
I know.
No, I'm still very Spider-Man.
Just me, Spider-Man. Your husband, Spider-Man.
I can't tell you my secret identity. You'd be in danger. Only with suit on. My proposed change would make this maybe a tougher choice, potentially. Okay. What if we swapped out the Atmo gun for Karnak?
For Karnak?
Karnak and his amazing weak point spotting.
I still kill him.
For me, I think I'd have to kill the arms and legs. The disembodied arms and legs.
So that you can fuck Karnak?
So I can fuck Karnak.
One ride on Karnak? One ride on Karnak's exciting judo chop hands?
It ruins you for everybody else.
No, you know what? I would marry Karnak every night with Karnak, and then just one night with Kraven.
Okay. One night in Kraven, and the rest with Karnak. Yeah, it's a toughie.
We're
it's a
so
toughie.
Stupid.
This show is nothing. Let's stop this show. Why do we do this podcast? This was a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This has been The Infinite Backlog, issue 8. And since we got rid of Doctor Strange off our lineup, I guess I don't really have like an automatic format for the sign off. I don't have a great by the Vishanti whatever. So I'll have to lean.
Wait. Can I do the sign off then?
Yeah. What do you got?
I'll be too wet for action. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.